Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Papaw's place. Guys, today I got this old tiller out here, and I'm going to show you guys how to check if you want to see if your engine's worth putting a carburetor on or why it's not cranking. I'm going to show you a simple thing to do right off the bat. Now, this old tiller here has been setting up for years. The Briggs and Stratton's engine. I don't know nothing about this motor, don't know nothing about this tiller. But it's got gas in it, and you can see I'm pulling, and it ain't cranking. So here's the first thing I do when I come across something like this. Take you just some starting fluid. Right here under the breather. You don't want to spray much, just a little bit. Now if I pull this and it hits, or even if it fires up, then I'll know it's nothing no more than the carburetor wrong with this little engine. Now y'all see that engine just fired up and run. But you don't want to spray too much starting fluid in a gas engine because you can lock them up. But just that little bit in a breather, that's enough that this thing cranked. So I know it's nothing wrong with the firing system. All it is the carburetor on here. So we finna get this into the shop. And we're gonna take the carburetor off, guys. But instead of taking this carburetor apart and trying to clean it and all that, I went on Amazon. And if you look, when you want to order a carburetor for a motor or something, I'll get you over here and close. But over here on the valve cover, there's usually going to be a sticker, or either it's going to be indentation numbers tattooed, I call it, into the valve cover. That'll be where your model number is and your serial number where you can order parts for this engine. And that's pretty much the same thing. It don't matter if it's a Briggs and Stratton's, a Kohler, or whatever. That's usually going to be a sticker like this, a metal plate, or it's going to be tattooed into the valve cover. Right here at the valve cover, metal valve cover, but this one got just a sticker on it. And them numbers, that's the engine model number and the serial numbers right here. So I done ordered me a carburetor and a filter and a new plug, and we're gonna see what this little Amazon kit come with. So guys, for this video purposes, yes, I'd already done what I had just showed y'all to see if this motor would run, to see if anything else was wrong with this motor. I've already ordered the carburetor, and like I said, I think the little kit on Amazon had the carburetor, the hose, a new fuel hose, a spark plug, and an air filter, I believe. Now, a lot of people ain't never had, and they'll tell you to stay away from them knockoff carburetors that's made in China. Well, I'm going to show y'all here in a minute. That carburetor, the filters, plug, hose, and all, shipping and all from Amazon wasn't even $20. You go to the Briggs and Stratton, that little carburetor there, I think was like $66 just for the carburetor. Yes, you might take that carburetor apart and clean it, but as old as this is and many years it's been sitting out, and for $20, now I have ordered them little knockoff Chinese made carburetors and get one in, and it wouldn't even run at all. Matter of fact, that happened to me one time. But I've put them on 2 or 3 different things. Even got one on one of these old lawnmowers out here, I think. Maybe not one of these old lawnmowers I got right now, but one I had before. I know it's one of these knockoff carburetors around there on one of them old power plants I got. And for $20, on something like this tiller that you ain't going to be using daily. I guess it just depends on what you want to spend on what you got. But for an old tiller like this, $20 for our carburetor and new filter and plug, we're finna go in here and I'm gonna show y'all, and we're gonna put it on here and get this thing running. So come on, let's go inside the shed. Actually, guys, I'm gonna do this right out here in this shade. I ain't gonna take this into the shed, but I'm gonna get y'all up here close, and you ain't gonna be seeing me no more. You're gonna be seeing what I'm doing. But let's look and see what come in this little Amazon box here. We got about 2 foot of new fuel line. We got a new air filter. We got a new spark plug. That's a BK5E. We got a filter to put in our inline fuel filter, which the motor didn't have one to begin with. We got an inline cutoff valve, and we got 6 fuel hose clamps. We got a new carburetor right here. And guys, I'm gonna show y'all something when I take this carburetor off. Now this is a knockoff carburetor. It's what I call them, knockoffs, made in China. But right off the bat, this here looks better than the carburetor that's on this Briggs and Stratton's that came on it, because the reason I'm replacing this, the reason I didn't even attempt to cleaning this carburetor, because this little piece right here, this is brass. On this carburetor that's on here, that's plastic. And that is what's just pouring gas out of it. Now, of course, it does set up and wasn't cranking, but I did get it running. But that little piece right there is plastic. So that knockoff $20 for all this, at least they put a brass fitting right there. You got a new choke valve handle and some other, I don't know, you got some gaskets and some screws and some, I don't know what them little brass fitting, oh yeah, dude, that's where it goes on your governor and stuff, maybe, or we have to look and see what them parts are. I don't know what them parts are. I don't know, I don't think we're gonna need them. But anyway, first up, we're gonna take the cover right here off of our air filter. This is just 2 5/16 screws. And I think that's what them 2 screws are. They even sent 2 screws here in case you lost one of them. Like I said, once I get this off and start, once I get this cover here off, I'm gonna move y'all over here up close so you'll be zoomed in on this. Now guys, anybody can do this. And see, for as many years this thing been sitting out there in a man's garden just raining on it, that really ain't too terribly bad, but we got a new one now. We're gonna stick all the parts right here under this chair and hope I don't drop nothing. Alright, let me get y'all over here close now. Alright guys, so we removed the cover there. Next right here on this, we're gonna pull this, that's the choke. You just pull it off, it snaps on there. Now this metal plate here, which is where your air filter sits in there, it's got 2 screws, and this is 5/16 on this Briggs and Stratton here. But like I said, any kind of little motors, this is showing you how simple it is. And like I said, the first thing you do You pull that crank cord and that motor ain't froze up, you spray you a little starter fluid, and if it fires off or even hits like it's gonna fire off, then that tells you right there the only thing that's gonna be wrong with it is it's not getting fuel. Now, you spray that starter fluid in there and it don't hit or try to crank, that means it's something to do with your firing. We just gonna, well, I'm gonna pull that off. That hose just sticks in there. That's kind of like comes out of your valve covers there and it vents into your, where your filter area there. We're gonna set this down here. Next, we're gonna remove this fuel line here. We'll have to go get a pair of pliers. On here with just these little metal clamps, just like them new ones they sent. But we're gonna replace this hose, because I'm gonna put a piece of this long one on there, even though it might be curved around here. I'm gonna put the filter in there and might put the cutoff valve in there. Y'all see, didn't no gas come out of there. Magic with the camera, I actually poured the gas out of this so I wouldn't have to worry about it. Now we're gonna swap to a 10mm. And we're gonna take these two screws right here that's holding this carburetor on. But guys, right now I'm gonna show y'all where I was showing you on this Chinese carburetor here. They get a good brass piece. Look right here, that's plastic. Now guys, I took the bowl off this carburetor, and yeah, it was corroded. The float was stuck, and I put it back together and I did get it to run. But this little plastic piece right here is busted. It's old, it's dry, and it's just leaking gas. Well, you might be able to buy that little piece there, but if you're gonna do it, then I would need to buy the float and all that to rebuild this. Well, for $20 to get all this other, I'm finna show y'all that some of these knockoff carburetors ain't nothing wrong with them. Because they can say what they want. This motor's got Briggs and Stratton's name on it. But these motors that's on different things like this POLAN Pro, all these Briggs and Stratton motors is not built at the same place. Matter of fact, I don't even think they all come from the same country. I think they sub them out to different places. Some of this cheaper stuff is got, that's why that's got that plastic part on it. I may be wrong about that. That's something I don't know. So let me get that straight. I don't know that. That's just what I think. I think just because you see that Briggs and Stratton's name when it's on these tillers and such, I don't think they all come from the same factories. Now next, you got your little piece here that's coming and goes to your throttle. You just lay that over and unhook it. Now on this one, it ain't got but one hole. And the new one don't have but one hole neither. But if you got a carburetor and it's got multiple holes right here, you want to watch where that hook come out, so you'll make sure to get it back in the same hole. But guys, look at that. For a knockoff, I don't see no detail about this one any different. Now I do see one thing. I got to put the choke butterfly in there because it ain't got the choke butterfly in it. That's the butterflies they sent. And I imagine there's two different butterflies. So let's go on and get the butterflies out of this bag here and see if we can determine which one we need. Now you look at the butterfly that's in this one, see it's got two big holes. They seeing two butterflies here. One's got the two big holes, one got two little holes. Well, we're going to put the same one that's in the original carburetor, the one with the 2 big holes. Now I don't know, but I would think the one with the 2 little holes is probably if you lived up in high altitudes or something. Again, don't hold me to that. That's just my thinking what that is. Maybe some of you mechanics watching this can tell me if that's exactly why they got 2 butterflies with this kit and one with smaller holes. But since I'm looking and this one's got the bigger holes, I'm gonna put the bigger holes in the new carburetor. So this here, we gotta get this lined up just right. Oh, that's why you keep your old ones. I got it sitting here on the motor so I can look at it. See if I can get that down in there. You stick that butterfly in there, and this plastic piece is now you stick the plastic piece down in there and turn it toward the slit. That piece right there's got a slit in it, guys. Turn it towards long ways to you. Make sure you got this in the right position up the top. To use a pair of pliers, I guess, to push that in there with. I can't do it with my fingers, and I know y'all ain't showing y'all a good picture of that. But you gotta have that stuck in there, and then put this butterfly in there. And it ought to snap right there. It goes. I did do it with my fingers. Then you want to work it and make sure that it's going to open and shut. That ain't working because I got it down in there too far. There we go. Now it's working. You got to get it set just right so when you open and shut it, it'll work. So there we go. We got the butterfly put in. Now we come with 2 new gaskets. And this motor here you got to watch. See, it's got a spacer behind the carburetor right there. But that gasket looks so good, I ain't even gonna change it. But you got a new gasket right here to go behind the carburetor. Then you want to hook your little hook back in here before you put the carburetor on. If you don't, you can't get it hooked in. And don't forget to hook this little spring. I guess I need to show y'all that up close because I don't think y'all can see it. I got to twist it around here so I can get it. It's easy to get the little metal rod in there, but to get my pommel fingers on this little spring right here. Alright, we got it. I'll show y'all up close here in a minute what I'm talking about. Make sure you got the right gasket, turn the right direction. With this one here simple, it ain't got nothing but your 2 bolt holes. Some of them may have another little hole in them. You just look and see what came off there. Like I said, you got to reuse the bolts that holds the carburetor on. Get it lined up there. I like getting one side started and then try to get the other side started. Before I run them up. You don't want to tighten the crap out of this, because this is aluminum. You just want to give it a good little snug, because you got a gasket on there. All right, so to give y'all up close, this is where I was talking about hooking that spring. See this spring running right down the side here, right there? You got to get it hooked in that other little hole right there. And that's where I was fumble fingering, saying I was having trouble. And I knew y'all couldn't see what I was doing. But there we go. So next I'm gonna put a new gas line on. Now, the gas line on the bottom of the tank, it's got a curve coming out, and it's curved right here, guys. So what I think I'm gonna do is cut this line right here, and I'm gonna put this inline filter in there. And then I'll see how much room I got, if I might want to put that valve in there also. So since this line's got a curve, it's bent, and the line looks good, we're gonna see if we can just cut that right there and add the new line to it like so. Let's see here. The fuel filters, some of them have an arrow on them telling you they got the fuel in and fuel out, but doesn't here I don't see a fuel in or a fuel out. So I'm gonna put the big end that way toward the tank. I put gas in this tank. I know if gas is coming out of it, it's working. Some of them you got to put on a certain direction, and they usually have an arrow on them. No matter if they Chinese made or Japan made or so-called American made. So let's see here what I need to do. I need to get me a sharp knife and cut that hose right there now. Uh-oh, dropped the old carburetor. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna cut this line. Thought I wasn't gonna get that cut. Make sure I didn't pull it off of it. Get in there. Now I'm gonna stick that filter on there. Do I want to put the inline? I don't know if I'm gonna have enough room to put I don't think I'm gonna put the cutoff valve in there, guys. It ain't never had one in there, so. The only thing, it's nice to have a cutoff valve in there. When you know you ain't gonna be using this tiller for a while, you turn your gas off and let it run until it totally runs out of that carburetor. Let's see. I might be able to squeeze it in there. Let's try. I got enough hose here, I can start over if it don't. I like the cutoff valve myself. Now see, the gas valve's got a little air on them. You want your gas flow going that way from the tank. Got an air pointing that way, means to the carburetor. So the filter didn't matter. But some filters it does matter, just according to how the filter's made. So that's something to watch out for. Something else I just thought about. Before I put this gas line on here, I gotta make sure it's gonna be enough room. Oh yeah, I don't know. guys, I may have done messed up. Because if I put this here on, yeah, that's gonna work. I'm just gonna have to turn my gas cutoff valve up. Maybe that won't be too close, get too hot on it right there. We're gonna try it right there. So I'm gonna cut my line off. And looky here, guys. Out of this less than $20 packages, I still got over a foot of good fuel line. So next, we're gonna put our back shield to our air filter, and you just stick your little hose back into your valve cover there. Put your 2 screws. I'm gonna just, oh, forgot the gasket to go back there. I almost forgot. And see, this is what I was saying, guys. You gotta watch, because gaskets got different holes in them. You gotta make sure you get them lined up in the right direction. All right, guys, you gotta get that turned just right. This gasket will go on just like that. Because you gotta watch out, you can't cover that hole. You mess up and put this on, the gasket on wrong, this piece up here have that hole covered, and you can't cover that hole. So I'm gonna stick it on here, put my screws right back here through the back. See if I can get them started here. I'm actually gonna use, they sent 2 new screws, but I'm using, no, I'm gonna use the new screws. In case they are threaded different into this new carburetor. The old screws could have a different thread pattern on them. So see, it's nice they sent this extra parts, extra screws. Briggs and Stratton's website would have sent you some extra screws too for about $2 a piece extra. All right, we're getting closer and closer here. Snug them down, but not too tight. Like I said, that's aluminum. Our next thing's our new choke handle. Well, guys, the new choke handle ain't gonna work on here, but my old choke handle will. So, out of the $20 package, the new choke handle they sent won't fit on this engine, but that's all right, because wasn't nothing wrong with my old choke handle. So I'll throw that in a box, and who knows, one day I may be working on something that need a choke handle like that. So you make sure your choke's working, and watch your butterfly down in here, and make sure it's, let me get y'all down here where you can see. Hope y'all can see your butterfly moving in there. You want to make sure it, when it's choked, it's closed all the way. Ain't nothing unmoved. Now we're going to put our new air filter on there. Actually, the old air filter had an old screen behind it. We're going to put that back on there. Put our air filter back on, cover. Guys, I'm going to put some more gasoline in this tank. And we're going to see if this $20 carburetor got me to run it. And then I might change the spark plug. Alright guys, now I'm expecting it to take a few pulls for it to suck the gas to get all this filter full and that cutoff valve and get my carburetor full. But what I'm worried about is when I put that cutoff valve on there, it's got my fuel line just a little bit higher than where it comes out of the bottom of the tank. So if for some reason I'm finding I ain't getting fuel through there, I may have to redo that and do away with the cutoff valve. But I'm finna give it a few pulls. And like I said, I know it's gonna take a few pulls to get the gas all filled up in there first. Y'all see that? 2 pulls and this joker fired up with a new carburetor on it. And I didn't even have it choked. Guys, now I see a lot of bad reviews about them knockoff carburetors, and like I said, I have ordered one before, and that was for a little chainsaw, I believe it was. I may have said something else a while ago, but after I was thinking, that was on a chainsaw. That wasn't that good. Actually, after I got it, it wasn't working right, so what I did, I took the float and stuff out of it and put in my other carburetor, and it still fixed my chainsaw cheaper than it was if I'd have ordered the OEM parts for the carburetor that was on there. Now yes, I shouldn't have had to do that. The carburetor should have worked, but this is several times I've bought these knockoff carburetors, and like I'm showing you right there, that one there is better looking than this one, because this one come with a plastic piece, and that little plastic piece right there, I want to say on site that little plastic piece was something like $10, and guys, all it is it just snaps on there. But this is done dry rotted. Well, I'm like, if I get that and then there's something else wrong with this, or I can't, by the time I bought the float and O-rings and all that, I bought this off Amazon, and you see what it turned into. So now I'm finna pull the spark plug out and put the new plug in there, because I know this ain't never had no plug changed in it. And I'm gonna look at the gap. Ain't nothing wrong with that plug, guys. It looks brand new. I'm gonna check the gap on it. It's set on about 0.025. See what the new one's saying. It's set on about 0.25, 0.26, so we just gonna go with that. Now when you put a plug in something, always start that plug with your hand. Don't never put a wrench on it and start turning it with a wrench. Because if that plug is cross-threaded and you start it with a wrench, you have done screwed your threads up in your plug. And it don't matter what kind of engine you're working on. You start them with your hand and run them down in there ways so you know they ain't cross-threaded. Because if they ain't going in with your hand, something ain't right. Alright, new spark plug, new air filter, new carburetor, fuel line filter, fuel line cutoff. Better stand up, huh? Uh-oh. Alright guys, y'all see me with my screwdriver here. All I was doing is got a screw back here where you can adjust it where it won't idle down. You can adjust it as far as you want it to idle down. Now some of you hear that and you say, well, that engine ain't running revved up as high as it is. Well, on these tillers they don't, not on these front tillers. But that right there got the fella's tiller here fixed back up. I'm gonna tell y'all a little story about this tiller. This actually belongs to my brother-in-law. Well, I don't know if some of you watched any of my regular videos, gardening and stuff. That old wizard tiller I had was my pa-in-law's, and that thing was 30 years old. Well, I'd put a new motor on it, one of them Harbor Freight Predator motors, a couple of years ago. Been doing great, but a few days ago I was out there and the gears in that rear tine tiller, the chain broke in there, or the sprocket broke or something or other. Well, I remember seeing this tiller over there in the weeds at my brother-in-law's, so I called him, asked him about that tiller, but I was thinking it was a rear tine tiller. He said, sure, go get it. Because my plan was I was going to put the motor off mine on this one. He said, go get it, you know, put that motor on there, and if I ever need to borrow a tiller, I know where it's at. Well, I went over there, and when I got there, it was a front tine tiller. I said, well, I'm going to take it home anyway. And before I took this motor off, I said, well, I'm going to just see. Yeah, I don't know how many years it's been sitting in the weeds. First thing I done was made sure wasn't nothing froze up. And guys, I took that carburetor spray and I stuck it right here, just like y'all seen me do. And when I did, about the third pull, it fired off. I said, well, ain't nothing wrong with this motor. It just ain't getting gas. And that's when and gas was pouring out the bottom too. That's when I took the float off, the bowl off the carburetor, and it was nasty in there and the float was stuck. And then I seen that little white piece was dry rotted. I said, well, I ain't even gonna try to fix that carburetor. Now that I know it runs, I'm gonna order a carburetor. Like I said, guys, you just seen for $20. Now some say these carburetors don't hold up to OEM. Well, I guess if you put them on a lawnmower or something you using every day a lot, maybe not. But I know I've had one on that old power plant back there 3 or 4 years now, and no more than I use that, I'm calling a power plant a generator. No more than I use it every time I go around. I crank it about once a month anyway, just to crank it. I ain't had no trouble with it. But guys, if you got an old engine on anything, like I said, if you want to test it to see if it's something with the fuel or something with the electrical, if it fires, if it runs off that starter fluid, don't put too much, don't keep spraying it like you want to keep that motor running. You'll lock that motor up, so don't do that. Just give it just enough to let you know if it's gonna fire or it's gonna hit like it wants to fire. If it does, you know it ain't nothing wrong with your electrical. All it is something to do with that carburetor and it not getting fuel. Now, if it don't fire or try to hit on that starter fluid, then that means something's wrong with your fire. And the next thing you want to do is pull the spark plug out, or just take the wire off, and you stick your screwdriver in the wire and hold it up here across this metal and pull it. And if it's making little sparks, that means it's firing. If it ain't getting no fire. Then that's another video of itself. So I hope this little video helps someone out there. If it does, please give me a thumbs up and share my videos to help me grow my YouTube channel. Also, if you know about these little butterflies, like I said, I'm thinking the one that come with these little holes is so when you up in high altitudes, like up north in the mountains, you probably use this different butterfly with these smaller holes, but I'm not 100% sure about that. But if you know, please comment down there in the comments and let me know, because see, that's teaching me at the same time. If anybody sees this and can tell me what that is. But as always, guys, I hope y'all have a great day, a great week, and God bless. See y'all next time.